Welcome to Chapter 6. In this chapter we looked at two different GUI technologies supported by Qt. First we looked at what we've used so far, which is the Qt widgets. Then we looked at a new technology called Qt Quick or QML. And it's really not an and or. Qt Quick and Qt QML are two different things. You can refer to the text and understand that a little bit better. So let's take a look at our first widget application. That's from Chapter 2, our Hello from Qt. And let's actually run this application. And you can see it's a fairly simple application. And enter name. And it works. So then we came up with a QML one. I'm going to make sure we do a clean here so I don't have any leftovers. I'm going to set this as the active project. So for the active project, whenever I hit the run button, that's what will actually get run. Now if we look here and click somewhere else, we can look, the active project is always bolded. And something I didn't mention anywhere else yet, this little thing that says master here, that means I'm on the master branch of the Git repository. So let's go and let's run this one. This is our first QML application. And we actually have a little bit of colorization here I've added and the rounded button. I'll put my name in here, I'll click enter, and we see how that works. Now we'll go down here and let's run that one. I said let's add some graphics to it, make it a little bit more interesting. So this is what I came up with. Again, set as active project, and I can do a clean and then a build. Takes a second to build. Okay, it takes a couple of seconds to build. Got our compilation window. We can see it's happening right there. And now we'll actually run that one. And you can see we have our application again. And I will type my name in here, click enter. That does what we expect. Now let's take a second. Let's run that on the Raspberry Pi also. Let me turn on the Raspberry Pi display and we will compile and build it. So let's go back over to compile. And wait a second or two. In my work, I often find myself having multiple projects open at the same time. That's when the right-clicking run becomes really helpful to make sure I'm running exactly what I expect. And there we have Hello from QML. And we discussed why that would be upside down before. And we look at it there. The sort of cool thing is through the modern technology, I can just invert that window or rotate that window 180 degrees, and we can see the same results we got from the other version. Alright, let me turn that window off, and we'll close up this version. So after that, we sort of demonstrated we have a Qt widget application, we have a QML Qt Quick application. And we asked the question, what if I want to do both? And just as we asked that, we received a couple of new requirements. Requirement 5 is the user shall be able to see a historical table of temperature readings. And 6, the user shall be able to see a scrolling real-time graph of temperature readings. So with that, we came over to the big project. Let's make that active. And we developed a new form. We actually did two things. We changed main window UI, and we gave it tabs. Tab 1, tab 2. We then developed a new form. Flip back to edit mode. The temperature history form. And which we had two sides. On the left side, we have a Qt widget that's called QQuick widget. And if you'd guessed that that's for running Qt Quick things in, then you're perfectly correct. And on the other side, we have a table view widget. We've already talked a little bit about the model view concept, and this is where we actually start using it. So, let's go and run this on the desktop. Again, click here, make sure the project's selected, the correct kit, and we'll go run that. This had already been built, so it came up pretty quickly. We have the current data, we have the history, a really small graph there. So if I expand it, and we could actually now see what the data coming out of that little mock temperature sensor looks like. It's a sort of interesting sine wave type thing, but not really. All right. I'll shrink that back up here. And we'll go target it for the Raspberry Pi now. And let's launch that on the Raspberry Pi. So it's going to go off and build. And I will turn the display on. And this one's still upside down too. And you can see, again, let's do our little magic invert. You can see we have the same two tabs. And let me make it a little smaller. If I go over to the history tab, sorry, it actually helps if I use the right mouse. We can see our graph there. Looks very similar. Our columns aren't set. One of the things you can do is go here and double click that column. It will expand it. Or you can click and drag it. So you can actually change the size of the columns. That's something you can customize yourself in the code. But for right now, I wanted to show you this running so you can see how they both look very similar. And that's the whole goal here, is that we have very similar looking applications. Write once, run multiple times. All right, with that, we are going to stop Chapter 6 and look forward to seeing you in Chapter 7.